Halo Infinite is a first-person shooter, sci-fi, space opera kind of a game. This is the last Halo in the second part of the trilogy. I don't even know what was going on, something with rings or whatever, if you follow the story. But 4, 5, and 6 extend the original 1, 2, and 3 Halos, adding more of the story, whereas really Bungie was done after Halo 3. They had ODST, which is a different take following the Shock Troopers, and they had that co-op mode, and then you had Halo Reach, which is the prequel before that. But I've been playing this game, for well over 20 years, and I'm seeing a lot of reviews of Halo Infinite, a lot of praise just because the campaign isn't total garbage like from Halo 4 and 5, which is true, but the question is, as a comprehensive package, is it better, and is it better right now after 2 months? Multiplayer I still found to be the best in Halo, and now with Halo Infinite. There is an addition with equipment. You probably noticed the grappling hook thing in the campaign. You also have this stuff in multiplayer. You have the grappling hook, but you also have like a shield that you're able to throw an energy ball. That kind of takes a cue from, I remember that back in Halo 3, they had that, and like a thrust type of a thing. So these are good additions. You just pick them up, and then they sit in your inventory. You're also able to change your grenades around too. The graphics, of course, are better. I mean, Halo 5, it was 2015. And the sound effects, like all of that, it like really thumps like with each of the weapons. This is quite a big improvement from Halo 5. But again, it's been several years, so this is kind of like pseudo next gen. I mean, not much of a surprise. Vehicles, they would take damage and blow up before, but now aesthetically, you kind of see when like a wheel is destroyed on a Warthog, it'll just kind of sit there on the metal rolling around. This looks a lot better aesthetically. After 2 months, there were issues with big team battle multiplayer, but now I'm not having any issues with like any of the game types getting in. So if you're kind of on the fence because of that, this isn't a problem anymore. The negatives is just how it doesn't have a whole lot of ambition with both the campaign, but also the multiplayer too. You just have the usual player versus player stuff. You got your like Fiesta, SWAT, Slayer, objective base, and then the big team battles 12 on 12, which is fine, but like there's no Warzone now. Warzone, Firefight, which isn't a huge thing, but you don't have that co-op thing, and then you don't have that in the campaign still. At this point, you don't have a co-op campaign. So in a way, playing it's safe, but the bones of the game, so to speak, are good. And it'll be like Halo 5 when it started out. It wasn't as good, but then over time they added stuff. But just the package, though. You don't have that Warzone. You don't have any other new thing kind of going on. There's no surprises here. If you played Halo, you're looking for something that beefs it up quite a bit in a way. Not too much, but still fun. Worth checking out.
Oh no. It looks like there are multiple UNSCs.
The campaign, a big change from the last two. They're going with an open world map that you are traversing in the early part of the game. You're going to all of these different fobs, or you're looking for these different bosses of the Banished that come from like the Halo Wars series, or Halo Wars 2. Now it continues off of that storyline. So you have those things going on. Then bases as well, where you're able to have vehicles dropped in. So they're trying to do the open world thing even with Halo, the Master Chief character too, that you're able to upgrade him, like his shields and stuff. Some of this is okay. A lot of it doesn't work though. They don't go far enough with it. Feels like just a map where you go to these points and then there's nothing too interesting in between. And you also notice the lack of ambition thing. It affects the campaign a lot more. It's just you walking around. You go to these like same doors, these same points to pick up ammo. That's like kinetic ammo or plasma ammo, whatever. Depending on the weapon types that you have, you're shooting the same kinds of enemies that you've done for like the last 20 years. Like they've added some, like they added the insect ones. And I think this one has this flying guy that shoots a machine gun, which is out of place. I like that though, that they added at least something. But this has been done before, and like as far as the AI, it's not a whole lot different. You're using like your grappling hook. That's the kind of the gimmick to like throw it at enemies. But it's not so much that. It's more the open world. They're trying to double down on that with the grappling hook. That's why that's such a feature. And it doesn't really need it for much of it. And that's why the latter part of the game, it's I'm not really doing open world. I'm just kind of following the campaign. Let's talk about the ambition part, though. Like the basis here, like here I'm airdropping a Scorpion. And I wanted to go back just to see, because on Game Pass you can play all the Halo games one after another, and the graphics are updated, all that. Went back to just to see the Scorpion, if that was kind of the same thing. And like in terms of the control, all that, quite a bit better. It's still fun, but some things I noticed is you have your one Marine guy on the turret. You don't have a squad following you. Like this has been like de-emphasized, like the one-man army thing, quite a bit. And then on top of that, even the enemies that you're fighting, you don't see a bunch of vehicles flying around. You just see small pockets of guys, and they're trying to make this long scene, but the game's been out 20 years. I mean, you would think from back then you'd have soldiers with you fighting, maybe on air, on land, and then the same thing with the other side too, and like with just guys exploding, all that, and just a lot less vehicles. And then just the fourth mission, right? On the original Halo, controls, all that isn't as good, but you have always the Marines with you fighting, and even the co-op, it's not as good as as Halo Infinite, but it creates more of that battle scene, and this is like the large scale stuff. It also happens in like small scale too, like when you're in a small area, you're always with the Marines, kind of going around. Going back to the open world though, the most you can do, since they can't get on your Scorpion tank, is there's this Warthog, what's it called again? The one where the 5 guys can go in. This is the most you're able to do. And then, driving around this tiny map to kind of create your own fun, to create a larger type of a battle. Instead of this, they've focused on the story so much, and this has been the last 3, like Halo 343 games. The acting, all that's fine. The story, it's maybe books or something. This was never the appeal, though, of the original game. Like, it had a story, but that's not what draws you in. It's the set pieces and the action and the AI in particular, co-op and enemy AI. And like this stuff has been going on so long. Like you had it with Cortana, then you have it with the pilot guy, and especially the big baddie boss man. It feels like the old WW, or maybe the recent one too, the WWF like banter talks where one guy would talk to another, like just to hype things up before a championship. They're trying to go with a Spartan, like Greek Spartan thing, but it tends to come off that way more.
Because this freaking nature right here is just beginning to swell.
It gets to a point when you're assaulting like this third base. I beat the main campaign on normal difficulty. That the weapon, which is the not Cortana character in this, kind of even makes fun of it. So there's that huge story focus. It's still worth checking out. It's short. It's just not all it's hyped up to be. Halo Infinite is a solid pickup on Game Pass, and now it's on PC, so you're able to play it there as well. The reason it's overrated, I think, is because it, quality-wise, is a solid game, while the direction with the campaign and the lack of ambition with the campaign and the multiplayer is where it feels like, well, I've done this before, there aren't any glitches or issues with it. With the campaign, you have this open world map, but it doesn't translate into any new interesting experiences with the Halo formula. While with the multiplayer, there's no Warzone firefight. There isn't anything new from the usual generic Halo multiplayer. But that's the part where it could get better in the future, like it did with Halo 5. Like, subscribe, or don't. I'll see you next time.